Okay, the general purpose of this speech is to inform. At the end of this speech, you will know how to detect sexual harassment, how to report sexual harassment, how to avoid sexual harassment. The first case of sexual harassment happened in 1974. The case was Barnes and Trains. The more serious case happened in 1991 when George H.W. Bush nominated Clarence Thomas to the Supreme Court. Anita Hill charged that Clarence Thomas sexually harassed her. The Senate Judicial Committee sided with Clarence Thomas. Sexual harassment. Simply, the definition of sexual harassment is unwanted sexual advances. It's an increasing problem in the workplace. It affects the victim, the perpetrator, and the workplace. In an article written by Barry S. Roberts, 31% of females claim to be sexually harassed, while 7% of males claim to be sexually harassed. 62% of those cases were never reported because companies did not want to have the shame on the company and that negative attention that sexual harassment cases bring. Sexual harassment affects everyone. It affects the victim, the perpetrator, as well as the company. Today, we will discuss how sexual harassment affects the victim and the perpetrator. We will address sexual harassment. We will go over some points of how to avoid sexual harassment, and we'll go over some reporting procedures with sexual harassment in the workplace. We're going to start out with the victim. First, sexual harassment to the victim creates a hostile environment. They stop performing at the level that they normally would perform in. They try to avoid coming to work because they want to get away from that harasser. And normally, the victim is being harassed by somebody superior to them at the job. The perpetrator. Believe it or not, the perpetrator is affected by sexual harassment. Character assassination is a big part of the perpetrators being affected by sexual harassment. The trust in that person is gone. Whether he's found guilty or not guilty, his trust is gone. No association and isolation becomes a part of his life at the job site because nobody wants to be involved with the sexual harassment investigation that he's going through. How to address sexual harassment. Lots of companies have no sexual harassment policy. This leaves the employees confused. Companies don't even like to investigate sexual harassment cases because of what I spoke about earlier. It brings a negative outlook on the company itself. But the court and the EEOC simply states that you must have a sexual harassment policy with a zero tolerance effect. You must develop a sexual harassment policy to prevent sexual harassment in the workplace. Prevention is the key to addressing sexual harassment. You must take a firm stance against sexual harassment. This is by law. And give this sexual harassment policy a high priority. You must train your employees on sexual harassment. At a minimum, go over what the definition of sexual harassment is and explain to the employees that your company has a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment. As I stated before, the definition of sexual harassment is simply unwanted sexual advances. How to avoid sexual harassment. Avoiding sexual harassment is not easy. Like I said earlier, sexual harassment is usually perpetrated by someone in a higher position than you at the workplace. First thing I would say is don't be too friendly. Okay? Co-workers mistake friendliness for flirting. Dress conservatively. Tight and revealing clothes attracts co-workers and causes sexual harassment. Don't expose too much cleavage for the females. Okay? This also entices attention and attracts sexual harassment. If you are sexually harassed, be firm in your objections. Don't laugh and giggle. Okay? Let that perpetrator know that you're serious about his sexual harassment actions. How to report sexual harassment. Your reporting procedure should be in your sexual harassment policy. If your company does not have a sexual harassment policy, you should immediately call HR. They'll give you exactly what they want you to do to report sexual harassment, but at a minimum, do it in writing. Describe the problem, and you tell them how you want this problem corrected. Keep a paper trail. Okay, if time goes by too long and you're not satisfied with what the Human Resources Department is doing, you can contact Equal Rights Advocates, and their number is 1-800-669-4000. And this is if they fail to get back with you, or if they're taking too long, or if you're simply unsatisfied with the HR's response to your sexual harassment complaint. In conclusion, I talked about how sexual harassment can be prevented. Everyone must get involved in sexual harassment. The victim, the perpetrator, and the company suffers with sexual harassment. Character assassination is on the victim, and character assassination is on the perpetrator as well.